I'm involved with supply chain and multimodal. So this is the right session for me. First, we'll go with the opening question, which I have written down. So I'm just going to read it out. While we all know that most of your movement, particularly the international movements, are multimodal by nature, exception of road transport, which can be unimodal. Where do you see India's present state in the overall multimodal growth? And I'm not going to be posing the question to any one person, but in general, anybody can start. Gentlemen, open to you.
Hi, good afternoon. I think where India stands today is very, very at a nascent stage to my personal understanding and knowledge. I think what we've evolved over is that in the multimodal space, that receiving cargo either by air or by sea, and then Concor and the likes of it, improving their footprint and covering a larger geography in the country to bring it closer to some of the customers, and from there again it gets onto the fleets of transport. But it is not truly something where the cliche multi-modal is operating, where it truly has to leverage and use all the inland waterways or other modes of, other avenues also available. So I think it's in nascent stage, it's evolving. The fact that Concor is a very strong and viable option, very fast, that itself is a testimony that yeah, we are moving in the right direction.
I'm a bit disheartened on that because being a multimodal guy, I think we have evolved. We have really come a long way. Gentlemen, anybody else?
So perhaps I'm going to add little more disappointment to you. So in your opening remarks, you said that international imports. Why multimodal is still related to international imports?
Not necessarily.
No, it's not necessarily. But what happened that when we talk about multimodal, immediately it comes that there's a international cargo is moving. So I am representing a plywood industry or laminate industry. Now, if I have to think that multimodal and domestically, and we have the, we have to ensure that our sustainability is taken care of. Multimodal is something which I can look into. But the thing is that current infrastructure or the service provider perhaps or the channel partner, how many is there? How many facilities are there? How many mature channel partners there who can actually take care of my cargo? Because today my biggest challenge or biggest worry will be that how this cargo will be handled at rail yard. So what I'm trying to say that it's a huge scope, huge space is lying which we need to take care of. So in these kind of events, what happened that we meet a lot of both sides of the table, when we are sitting in a table, that we meet the service provider, channel partner, experts into a different technology, transportation, warehousing. And once we reach back to our office, there are a lot of calls we get. Hardly we get any call that we are they are into multimodal. Why don't we associate with each other? So I think that is something which really look.
I'm definitely going to give you a call after this. So moving on, anybody else who wants to add?
Yes, a quick one. So I come from healthcare industry. It has improved over the last couple of years, especially during the pandemic. We saw that there was a flurry of multimodal shipment that we had to do because we had to reach our customers, hospitals and labs in that case. So that has been one good thing and I'm on your side. One experience that we have seen in the last couple of years is that when you do multimodal with a single service provider, it works far more seamlessly as compared to trying to do multimodal with multiple service providers. We have not been able to integrate that as well. I think that's definitely a scope that all of us as industry needs to work together.
True, but multimodal per se is the game for one person. I mean, see, it's basically like a relay race. Logistics per se, and when it involves multimodalism, it's like a relay race. So if you have multiple partners and you are the one who's coordinating, then you are the multimodal operator. Yeah. So then you'll have to take that charge yourself. So there are a good number of multimodal operators. In fact, we have an association, and I'm the vice president of it, so it's my responsibility to say that. And anybody else wants to add?
Just to add on, see, in last 2 decades, from the day when there is a container that was unloaded on a port, और उसके बाद वो phone पे लगाता था, हाँ भाई गाड़ी लगा दे, container आ गया. And from today, wherein there is an automatic system, and many service providers are giving them that an auto shipment is booking, and then truck is auto loaded, and it comes to the destination and location. So obviously there is a scope of improvement as on today also, because managing the different people and different service provider on a single platform, and then to say the services on track system, because of this e-commerce model, even a layman also says that I want to have a shipment every hour, every minute tracking kind of a thing. So it's something that, yes, it's on the verge of change. The work has been done. We are on a right track at the same time. But yes, it will not be done by a single person. And industry and the users all come together, keep in hand. We need to invest a lot. Yes, it's something that I am very hopeful for multimodal transportation. And everybody is using this, not only in pharma, but as in plywood industry, in heavy metals, or any retail. So everybody is using it. So thank you.
So Bharat, I'm going to just remember what you said, because we're going to come back to that in a while, because I want to really take you on to that. Would you like to add?
Yes, I think with the focus from the government side on this multimodal setup, I think, and the freight corridors being developed, they are vast corridors, and I'm sure in future, another 5 to 7 years, we'll see a lot of growth towards multimodal sector. And the only thing which I want to add is that we need strong players from the service industry who want to kind of give an end-to-end solution on this. Because what happens is, if even the companies are ready to kind of embrace the change, but at the same time they are a little more skeptical whether we'll have an end-to-end visibility of the cargo at any given point of time. So if the business is not very confident about the status of their shipments, then it becomes a little more a scary scenario, which most of the businesses wanted to avoid.
Thank you, Rajat. How many logisticians in the audience? Anybody from logistics side? Please raise your hand. Only one? Oh, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 logisticians. Listen to what the customers has to say. Okay, so I'm on the other side of the table. I'm the service provider. And I represent the Association of Multimodal Transport Operators. While you're right in one way that it is, when you talk of multimodalism, you're talking of international shipments. That has been true, because there was a law enacted in 1993, which was called MMTG, or Multimodal Transport of Goods Act. But there is no particular law which was enacted for domestic multimodalism. So domestic multimodalism actually came to light only after the government started looking at, movement by RoRo, in the sense there was a RoRo movement on where the trains were carrying the trucks from in the Konkan railway area. And that is when the idea of multimodalism in domestic sense started coming in. And government is working on it. Very slow to our taste, but yes, they're still working on it. So that's that part of it. And on the technology part, now we come to technology part. I'm going to jump the question, because as I said, I'll take you on. And I'll start with Ajay ji on this. The technology side of multimodalism is very important. Logistics, just like in any other field of life, digitization has taken over. And we all associate that digitization with efficiency, and it is to a great extent. But how has it affected multimodalism per se and logistics in general?
So I think this is the crux of the, let's say half of the crux of the matter. One is the infra part and policy advocacy. The large important part is the digital footprint which has been created or is readily available. I think one nightmare that any supply chain leader would have, and I've heard the sentiment of all the panelists here, that they have to report every now and then as to the status. Multimodal, bait and race, change of hands between different things. Forget the documents, even the information not flowing seamlessly across. It is impossible that with the amount of data that is required, and with the amount of, let's say, every business is having SKUs and customers and the just-in-time concepts, so the number of lots which are in transit and flowing in, just to keep a track of them, to keep plants running and the customers fed, is humongous. So to create all of the data, handle it, exchange it, and transfer it and use it very effectively is a nightmare. There still, the situation of digital in multimodal is that we are still dependent heavily on paper documents. We still have banks or customers or our own departments insisting on BOEs, which are paper documents, BLs, which are paper and have the right validity. It's EDI, it's still not migrated to an API interface. So somebody has to keep investing time, energy, resources into having relationships and businesses with multiple platforms. It's a cost. It's tracking 10 different places, but not one seamlessly end-to-end across. And when I say not one, don't take me seriously on this, because there are some very serious interventions which have started to come in. Our friends in SAP or Ariba would be market and LBN very strongly. They do believe that has a lot of solutions to it, quite rightfully so. It's evolving and would meet the requirement as it gets more strengthened. We had some panelists, as was shown on Shipsy, Comet, they're trying to make some headwind into it. But end-to-end, if we were to have visibility at one go, that is seriously lacking and missing. So information is not available at a click of a button for the entire movement from origin till the destination. Paper still continues to hold fort. So handling complexity, handling scale, and doing it sustainably is another challenge. Today we are all besotted with trying to create sustainable supply chain with the amount of paper that is required and with the amount of reports one is expected to generate and keep those reports and again use more paper. It is something which needs a very serious consideration. A lot of work is going in, a lot of tech developments are happening, a lot of tech engineers are focused on it and trying to work on it. So it's all in the right direction, but today if you ask me, where are we on it? It does not give comfort to supply chain managers to try and migrate or try and see that how we use it as the predominant mode and not focus on the traditional and the conventional, which is door-to-door single mode services.
Wonderful. Anybody else who would like to speak on the digital part?
Yeah, probably I'll just add on to what Ajay mentioned and also what Anirban, I'll just pick on the imported shipments. So I think one of the solutions that has been there for now a couple of years has been the control tower concept or the lighthouse concept. I mean, I think everybody uses a different nomenclature for that. In its earlier avatar, which we were working on about 4 or 5 years back, it was very simplistic. It was mainly for import shipments, sea shipments coming in, moving out from, let's say, a port in the US, when is it reaching and stuff like that. I think now it has evolved greatly. And now it connects that if from a manufacturing site in the US, it reaches the port, from the port to the port in India, then from port in India to the warehouse in India, and then from warehouse in India to the customer. So I think that is something that we have seen as a solution which has evolved. I mean, it's not perfect right now. I think all the industry is working on it, even the users like, I think SAP, and there are some of the other startups that are working on it. That we have seen as a real game changer that has helped us in the last couple of years, especially again. Sorry, I refer pandemic again and again, not a very positive thing, but it's there. So that is something, one of the solutions, and talking about digital in logistics, I think he's talking about that. How do you remove paper? How do you make it sustainable is also removing a lot of paper in the whole chain that we use right now.
True, very true.
See, just to add on what my panelist is saying, see, the one thing is we need our data. We need the data at any point, okay? And let's agree, yes, there is no single platform. And even if some service providers have single platform, then they are having certain manual interventions in that. They are pulling some data and it always prone to some mistakes. And the issue is, because now it's a JIT and now it's so many choices. So previously, probably after 10 years back, we are dealing only with 500 SKUs. Now after 10 years, we are dealing with 2000 SKUs. The same company, because number of choices to the customer increases. And this multimodal plays an important role because now LCL shipments plays an important role. So previously gone are the days when we are saying कि bulk में मंगवा लो, so it थोड़ा सा सस्ता पड़ेगा. Now everybody have an economic order systems and everybody wants an inventory to be on a linear side, even if the pandemic is there, but still you cannot have X percentage loading to the business, and because of your inefficiency, nobody is paying for you. So why a customer will pay for your inefficiency? So we need to have a system, and digital is the only way. We need to reduce the papers, we need to have hand-in information, or not only that, see, whether it's a company or it's a service provider, we should be transparent with each other. So sometimes there is an wrong information sharing. Sometimes there is something that we are not, it's an arm twisting kind of a thing. I personally believe that it's something, it's a hand in hand, and we both should understand each other at the same time, so that it's kind of an open book, and everybody is playing their role in that book. So it's my takeaway.
Wonderful. You would like to add anything?
I think the biggest challenge which most of the organizations face, particularly when it comes to the digitization of your supply chain, is the kind of cost effectiveness and the manpower you want to invest. So I think the best way in terms of, as Ashutosh also mentioned and Ajay also mentioned, that even if we want to have an inception of technology, it should be with a partner collaboration. So what happens is that most of your service partner base will have a wide range of experience, and they will have a much more cost-effective solution when it comes to the digitization of your supply chain. So why not to collaborate with your partners and actually go up with the problem statement, joint problem statement as per your organization as along with the partner, and that would help this overall process.
Wonderful. And I'm really intrigued to listen to this conversation. I'll just share a very small case study. We have the time, so I'm taking that liberty. My company, we developed a paperless solution for multimodalism in 2014. And I had really slogged on it. I had done the front end and worked very hard on that, thinking that we are making something that the industry wants. Gentlemen, I have a client base of almost 250. I presented this to my major clients, which were around 20, 25 between that. And guess how many users we have today? Zilt. Nin. Not one. The only customer who used it was the one who, they were the largest customers of ours. And it was pushed from the chairman itself, because I complained to him that while you are crying about shipments getting delayed and costs being incurred, your team is just not willing to adopt anything new. And he said, give me a demo. And I gave him a demo 1-to-1. And he sent a decade down, implemented, I want it done by next week. Okay? So that was the only company we did, and the results were phenomenal. There was not a single mail exchange. We used to clear, I think, around 40 to 50 of their air shipments every day without a single mail, without a single penny of additional cost in terms of storage. That was the efficiency achieved. The problem is, after almost 9-10 years, I'm disheartened. I gave up, because the demos I gave, and believe me, one of the companies was a Japanese big-time company, one of my clients. When I gave the presentation, there was a Japanese gentleman who was in the presentation, and he said, wow, we should do it right away. I come back to my office after that demo, and I get a call from the supply chain head of that company telling me, you want to do business with us or not? Be very straight. I said, bloody hell, what happened? I thought you guys liked it. He says, yeah, Japs liked it. Too much accountability is what he said. I was shocked. I said, what do you mean too much accountability? He said, बहुत ज़्यादा visibility है, इतनी नहीं चाहिए. Now, I really don't know. I just heard all of you say, and specifically when I was telling it to you, I heard all of you say that you want visibility. My personal experience says, my customers said, we don't want visibility. And my team said, sir, आपने Ferrari बना दी, road तो है ही नहीं. And they were right. The joke was not, it was not just a joke. They said, आपने Ferrari बना दी, आप हमको बोल रहे हो कि punch करो data. But your customers don't want it. So why are you wasting my time? And I have no answer for it. And truly, this is my personal experience. All you gentlemen, I invite you to my office anytime. I'll give you the demo of that. You will find it. Again, on the same point, there was one large company, one very big multinational company who's our client. When we presented it to them, their team said, oh, तो आप अपना काम हमसे कराना चाह रहे हो? मैंने कहा आपको अडॉप्ट करना है कर लीजिए, नहीं करना है हम आपको DSR रोज भेज देंगे. It's not a problem because DSR is also generated by the way from that same system. वो automatically एक Excel sheet generate करता है और भेज देता है. They're happy with that. They don't want to go online. So digitization seems to be very, very fancy word, and I'm a big fan of digitization personally, but it hasn't really caught on in the industry. The industry is not willing to accept it. And this is my complaint as a service provider to the industry. Please accept digitization. And also just to add here, sir, a lot of things have been digitized. For example, today in customs, you don't require to carry a single document. Nothing. Everything is online. Even your bank copy of your bill of entry or shipping bill is online. It goes to your bank. You don't have to actually carry a single piece of paper. Yes, there are people and people have mindsets. So अगर मेरा बैंक में कोई खड़ूस बैठा है, वो कहेगा नहीं जी मेरे को वो जो बैंक कॉपी है लाके दो. And there was a time when my customers actually would fight with me, signature लाके दो इस पे. ये signature नहीं मिल रही है मेरे को. And we had to tell them, boss, it is digital. There is no signature required. So yeah, we have progress. Lot more has to be done. I agree. Ajay ji, back to you.
No, so good, all of these experiences would be there in a vast economic ecosystem like ours, where you would be coming, all of us come in contact with a lot of people who are in the various evolution curve of their organizations and all. The only point which I wish to make is, and this is drawing from your own experience and leveraging on that as well. You started very early 2014 and you had a cracker of a solution. Unfortunately, visibility around that solution could have stunted the adoption there. Now, cut to and move over. What happens to people like us who are in the leadership space or any supply chain professional who's struggling to manage the vast amount of data? He needs some tool and technology to do that. The problem is that whenever there's a business case which has to be presented, the sad part is that for any digital or technology thing, it is very, very difficult to make a business case. What cost avoidance, what payback, what IRR. So which is when hungrily we all look around to say, who are those, why startup ecosystem has grown? These are guys supposed to be nimble, fast, agile, low cost, challenging the mights of the SAPs or the Oracles or the JD Edwards or all of those people who come up with very fancy licensing regimes and fancy price tags and all of that. So then people look around, and now when they look around, there's another dichotomy. Is there scalability to them? Is there reliability? Is there assurance? So then leaders get caught into a no-man situation that इसके लिए budget नहीं है, ये unreliable है, unscalable है. So some experiment, some don't. Now, if there is something which comes out, and this can come out through industry forums, associations, and sessions like this, that if there's a very strong presentation where leaders can get insight into something which is coming at a low cost, humble low cost, easy to implement, agile, I think we're all game for it and we're all thirsting for it.
So I want to add just what Ajay said.
Sure.
That what happened that we are also looking for digital like change management. So that you said complaint, then the change, it comes at a cost. So what happened that something new we have to adopt. So what happened exactly, like I'm just perhaps going to echo you, that we are into this between these two. So what happened that experimenting. So we want to experiment with the lower costs rather than, and there are so many options. So we have to identify between must to have and good to have. So I may have many options, but what I must to have, then experimenting with that, and then you invest on that. So there's something new when it comes, it's becoming more difficult for us to justify to the board that why we need this, and then you bring that I want to reduce my half an hour of work and expending that at a cost, then now your ROI will become very difficult. So what exactly are you looking for that in this kind of solution, that can we have a shared cost? So many a times these softwares comes at a standalone cost. If we can get a shared cost model, it's easier for us to pitch in within the organization. Forget about that whether going outside the organization. Within the organization, the board is very difficult to establish the fact that this is needed and these are the benefits we are going to get.
So allow me to just get this straight. What we are discussing here is the cost of implementing some system in your organization, or you're talking of the systems which are existing with your service providers as a
Organization,
multimodal
in
service
another
provider?
organization. I have to
Okay.
implement something in my organization.
Okay.
So for that, I have to show two things, that this cost I'm going to incur and these are the benefits you're bringing onto the table. And then that converting that benefits into rupee terms is sometimes become difficult. And that when we comes with a big players, the cost is so high that we'll leave. That okay, fine, we'll manage this year. We'll think next year, and every year as a next year.
No, true. So what Ajay ji was, I think, mentioning was, he was mentioning about you have your own ERP running, and the logistics service provider is not giving you the data through digital transmission. Was that understanding correct?
Not really.
Uh-huh.
Whether it's a service provider, we having a ERP or whatever things, and a service provider having a platform, the two have to be integrated.
Correct.
Now, all of that also are standalone platforms. They have their own licensing regimes. There are costs for licenses as well as for services. And, or even if it's a cloud model, there are subscription fees which are there. So I'm talking about that digital is need of the hour, but digital adoption is on a slow track because finding the right partners who have the solution as well as the services and the right cost position for this is something which is not visible very prevalently or widely, that leaders like us can jump on and say, yeah, let's go and implement this, pick this up very quickly and immediately. Each is going by what they are seeing as somebody touching base and finding a niche in that segment and being successful at some scale and having a potential, and he grows over a period of time. So it's not something which is very ready-made. I had some good experiences of reviewing, let's say, a Shipsy or a GoCommit recently. They could be across industries and across businesses and to some scale as well. So there could be ready pickings for a lot of evolved companies, but there could be some who are still trying to
But
grow
again,
that curve.
I have also a client who used to use Shipsy for example, just for an example, and not taking names of any particular company. Again, the problem there was, it was expecting your service provider, it was not linking your service provider. It was expecting the data be punched in. It was not providing an API link to your service provider. So as a service provider, I found it very difficult to ask my team कि तुम अपनी ERP में भी punch करो and then go to Shipsy and again punch there. So again, it's a replication of job.
So where it has evolved now is that they have agreements with, let's say, the shipping lines.
Okay.
And they are having API links with the shipping lines. So the moment a shipping line punches data to say that this container is moving from this place to this place for this client, and if I have a subscription with Shipsy, it gives me visibility by all of those data being consolidated and pulled up real time as well as through a report also.
What I was saying about my one client that we implemented this on, they were on SAP. And we were transmitting data through EDI. So there was no actual punching of data required either by them or by us. They fed their data as they required it. We fed our data as we required it, and both the systems talked to each other. It was seamless and there was no cost involved, except for the cost of integration, which probably could have been there. Anybody else who would like to take the pitch on this?
See, you need to understand change is evident. Obviously, you are a bit early in 2014, but now it's 2023. After a decade, everybody wants that information. Now, second question is, if there are two vendors, they are bidding for a company. One vendor have all these sophisticated softwares and they are giving good to have things. The other vendor is only giving me certain information, which is basic information. And the price remains the same, then obviously a person, or I will go to a person wherein they are giving me some good to have things also. Okay, that is for sure.
But
So that is a winning edge.
But you put a caveat, price remains the same, huh?
Obviously.
ऐसे थोड़ा होता है यार, खर्चा तो आता ही है ना कुछ भी बनाने में. Anyway, just a kid, just a joke. I think we'll move away from the digital side. We'll just quickly go into although previous session was on cold chain, but how about cold chain in multimodalism? And what is the experience that you have? And particularly Bharat, you, because you are from the pharma side, pharma uses cold chain quite often. So
See,
multimodal cold chain, how about that?
See, it's really, really difficult in fragmented ecosystem to maintain the data integrity of the particular shipment. Yes, there are certain ways which we are following, but still on secondary distribution system, it's a challenge because every company, you name any company or the companies which are surviving in India, as per law, they are having the control for primary distribution. And when the ownership of inventory changes, it's complete black site kind of a thing. So what we did, see, it's a multi-model for sure if you are into an Indian farmer's ecosystem. Because we are dispatching goods in boxes only. Those are passive packaging boxes. Obviously, there are certain validations that we guys are doing. There are certain data points we are collecting either from data logger or there are so many small IoT devices that we are putting in basis on the criticality of that shipment. At the same time, still it's manpower running. Still there are blackouts where we don't know where the shipment is and we are just calling our vendor, "Abhi kahan hai, bata de yaar, kahan hai, bata de yaar." So, and still it's going on because there are so many authorities involved in this. Me as a company, my company involved, then service providers company involved, then there are airport authorities, those are involved, then there are airport securities, which comes under Government of India only. So it's involved and there are certain recommendations, there are so many things and there is no single platform which is giving an online data. Nobody is claiming as on today also that this data is online and all. So there is a delay in punching the data, whether it's 4 hours, 6 hours, there is a cooling period on all the airports. I'm talking of domestic as well as internationals. So we only came to know when the damage has been done through the data logger which we put in that system only. So yes, there are still fragmented issues, but government is investing heavily in these infrastructure, just like Hyderabad airport, they are building a huge facility. Bangalore, they already built that. So now the government knows that this is the only buzzword. If we want to attract pharma industries to put their resources in India.
Thank you, Bharat. I think we are just about running out of time. So, Paji, that answers the question. I mean, you need to be skilled. And my request to the whole industry is, please don't be penny wise, pound foolish. Pay your logistics service provider their dues. They will be training their manpower. We love to train our manpower, but हमारे पास पैसे नहीं होते, आप लोग देते नहीं हो. Anyway, okay. So moving on. Thank you so much, gentlemen.